founder of Girl Geek X, and with us today we have Shradha, who will be speaking about self-advocacy for introverts. Welcome.
Hey everyone, good afternoon, good evening, based on wherever you're joining me from today. I know this is the last session, so thank you for hanging out with me. I want to first thank Girl Geek for this wonderful opportunity, and also to each one of you in the audience for your time and energy that you're trusting me with today. This presentation actually comes from a lot of personal lessons that I learned throughout my 15 plus years of career journey and a few frameworks I have created along the way. A little disclaimer though, nothing I say or share here today is groundbreaking or novelty. You probably already know most, if not all of it, at some atomic level of your being. But my goal here is to bring it all to the surface for you to see the glaring reality and help you identify your strengths and hope you have small aha moments along the way that will lead you to create your own approach to self advocacy. So, welcome. In these next 16 to 18 minutes, I will take you through my own journey, share surprising learnings, especially about self advocacy that I have uncovered, and myths I was able to banish from my life's book. Also, will share my template on how I grew my practice of self advocacy, especially as an introvert. But first, I'd love to ask you a couple questions. What does self advocacy mean to you? What are the barriers when you have to advocate for yourself? Write anything that you have in the comments, in the chat, any images, any feelings that you come up with when I see these words. And hopefully, I will cover them throughout the talk. I am Shradha Doshi. Currently, I'm a product manager at Comcast. I landed in product management through several career pivots and a career break. I started my education in electrical engineering, and from there on, I landed a job as a software engineer. 2 years into which I decided to become a biomedical engineer. So I flew to the States, did my master's in biomedical engineering, and then worked as a firmware engineer in top medical device company on the West Coast. Um, Sooner or later in that career, I had a baby and then decided to take a career break to raise a family. After the break, I somehow, through a lot of skill gap analysis, new learnings, I landed in product management, and I'm really happy to be in this career. So I see myself as a lifelong learner. I'm also a mom to two feisty little readers. I'm a huge Brene Brown fan. My core values are simplicity, authenticity, and creativity, which I try to bring in every day in my professional, personal life, and for my own individual purposes as well. And finally, I am a shy introvert. So, facing and embracing my introversion. First, I want to share my toxic trait as an introvert, which is if I see someone at a grocery store who I know, I will start a real life game of Pac Man, and I will be that Pac Man eating the dots, which is collecting the things that are on my list and trying to dodge all those colorful heads out of my way without being noticed. It's just, I love it. I wouldn't change it. I know it's toxic though. But as an introvert, I conserve my energy and do not speak up unless there is a dire need. I assume people around me know as much, if not more, about a given topic than myself. I can speak to my background, specifically as an Indian immigrant who grew up seeing other women around me just be the yes man or a woman, pleasing people, being the team player. And so I brought those same vibe into my corporate career. However, that vibe was complete opposite with what my career ambitions demanded. Their only way to rise up was to speak up, share my wins loud and clear. I always had to be 200% sure before I will mutter a single word, while others speak up when they're only 10% sure. I will start my sentences with, I think, after careful research, connecting various dots, poring over books, while other people around me would start with, I'm sure, da 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 da, even when they've not even spent 5 minutes. I didn't know how to advocate for myself. I didn't know my self worth or what I liked and disliked. Slowly over the years, I started losing sight of what was important to me. When I was due for a career change after my career break, I didn't know what I stood for, what I wanted from my life and my career, let alone communicate that to others. I didn't know what my needs and wants were. And hence, this topic is very dear to my heart as an introvert, having spent most of my life people pleasing, never challenging anyone with what is being asked or said, even when I know it's wrong. And thus, my journey of self advocacy began. So, why should introverts self advocate? Let me start by saying everyone, extroverts and introverts alike, need to self advocate. The way we'll do it might look a lot different because our personalities and our strengths are different. However, today I'm stressing the importance on why my fellow introverts in particular need to self advocate is because introverts are prone to burnout from how our workplaces are organized and how work in tech companies, which is highly collaborative. 3 years ago, I was burnt out from all day calls, then taking care of small kids at home due to COVID 19. While some of my colleagues spoke up about the difficulties of being on the morning calls with offshore teams, the people around them saw this as a pain point and became more accommodating, including their colleagues and their bosses. They were able to skip meetings in case of a school drop off, for example. However, I toiled away in that burnout phase. So there are two categories of benefits for self advocating for all of us here. First is so that introverts know themselves. The more you keep sharing your thoughts, needs, and wants, the more you are in tune with your inner self. The more you keep them quiet, you don't know what you are, you keep deviating from yourself. If you don't share your thoughts, you won't know your strengths. It is hard to know your goals if you're not in tune with yourself. The more thoughts you share, the more you will know about themselves, about yourself. So, by knowing yourself better, you not only crush the imposter syndrome, but it will also put you in the driver's seat of not just your career, but also your life. So, speaking up will help you know yourself better. And the second one is so others can know you. I'm assuming most of us here work in highly collaborative environments. You're amongst people who are similar or vastly different than you. You are like a mystery box to them. So they will assume things that may or may not be true. So treat self advocacy as an indicator, like your car beeping when you are low on fuel, or your dryer braying away when you forget to clean the filter. These smart machines are telling you what they need, but are you telling others what you need? Or are you assuming young Brad, who is 20-year-old from urban New York City, knows what Shraddha, a 40-year-old mom who came to US from rural India, stands for needs in this work environment? Our diverse backgrounds warrant all of us, introverts and extroverts alike, to stand up and speak out and share our thoughts. The advantages of speaking up are manifold, or advocating, I should say, are manifold. The few that I have noticed in my journey are being able to avoid being burnt out, staying authentic to myself, and gaining career success that is important to me in a way that's important to me, and building intentional relationships and communities like these that I am in today. So, why don't we self advocate? of all the unachievable images in our mind of what self advocacy looks like, please think about how it looks like to you. When I say self advocate, what is the picture that comes to your mind? To me, it feels like I must be charming, commanding, funny, confident. It feels like I must be like Mrs. Maisel, telling her best jokes on a dais in front of a crowd with a spotlight on me. It used to make my skin crawl and I would run in other direction as I felt lacking of all these qualities that are needed. However, I have since changed that visual in my head to be a little different, and that has tremendously helped. I'd love it if you can describe the image in your head, however unachievable comes to your mind when I say self advocacy. Let's try to change that image and make it more achievable. So we don't self advocate because narrow vision on how to self advocate, lack of understanding of our own strengths, reasoning that difference of opinion will make our lives harder, create arch enemies. That cannot be farther from the truth. And the last one, absence of a toolkit, a template, or a hero who is an introvert who is great at self advocating. And that is what I felt I lacked in my area. So I invite you to let's create an introvert friendly template for self advocacy so we don't feel left out. But first, I want to share introvert brains are wired differently. As you see in this diagram, it takes longer for our brain to process. We aren't tongue tied or we are not late to respond. We just have a brain that processes information differently, which takes longer. Knowing this about ourselves, we can expect that we may not have a retort or a response on that very moment. So I always carry a pen and a notebook. It's like my second brain. And I have a few quick responses ready as a stand in. For example, hey Jen, that's great. Give me some time and let me simmer over it. I'll get back to you. Or hey Brian, I think that's an interesting perspective. I might have to think about that one more. Let me get back to you. These are the things that have helped me still be talking about my views while giving me that time that's needed. Also, we communicate better in written format. Because of how the brain processing works for introverts, the writing is at least in my opinion, the best way to bring our thoughts together. It doesn't mean that you would be writing emails to self advocate for yourself. What I mean by that is you pour your thoughts in a written format first, you write down everything, and then you choose the medium of communication. It's either by talking one on one, in a meeting, write in an email, whatever that looks like. But I write it first. So now for me to make self-advocacy reachable and something that is attainable, I divide it into two parts. One is in my brain, the image is of a cozy conversation, maybe a one-on-one, maybe a small group meeting, which is similar to like friends and not like standing on a dais with a spotlight on me. That has helped me be more comfortable when I'm advocating for what I want. Also, I write best. So I squash that unattainable image of a perfect woman holding a mic in the limelight and saying things versus thinking of myself as a writer and putting my thoughts in that manner. I would like for you to imagine what this looks like for you. What environments are best for you? Can you create those when you want to advocate for yourself? And second, how do you communicate best? Can you try that? And I'm hoping that this exercise will take away the power, the negative power the image of self advocacy has from you and give you the power to advocate for yourself. Putting all of this together, bring us to my framework, which consists of 5 steps. The first is the what. Let's jot down an achievement or something that you wanted to share. Reflect on that. I always have a database of what I thought I want to share. So when I want, I can reach out. The who, decide who will be the target audience or the recipient of this message so that you can deliver a message in a way that they can receive. The why, it is important that you have the need to share. Why do you want to share this opinion of yours? When, as an introvert, when I have a why, I connect with that cause deeply. So I always look for a why. Then the how, create a plan. How will you convey your message? Written, face to face, write down exact words you will use. Edit that message. You have AI tools these days. Remove extreme emotional language and aim for neutral impact wording. Rehearse until you feel confident. And I know this is a long process, but believe me, after you do it again and again, it becomes second nature. And I hope you will use it from anywhere, from your talking to your team or to your manager. It has been helpful to me. With that, I will leave you with a funny story. I'm not a nail salon person, but once I happened in a nail salon in front of that lady who wouldn't speak my language. I showed her a picture of the thing that I needed. She said yes, we sat down, and soon she brought fake nails in. And when she brought fake nails, I was like, oh my God, I don't want fake nails. I just want the color. Why is she bringing fake nails? Then it occurred. The photo that I showed had fake nails, but I chose to stay quiet. I did not self advocate for myself. I thought that she will laugh at me if I didn't know what I was doing. So, with the fear of that, I chose to stay quiet. And then I was stuck with these long nails and a baby at a wedding in India. And those were the worst 4 weeks of my life. So I invite you, even though this is a funny story, but this can happen in career scenarios. I want to invite you to choose to self advocate in lieu of fear, in lieu of lack of clarity, whatever it is. Choose your way of advocating for yourself. So, with that, thank you. I had a good time sharing this. You can definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd love to see if there were any aha moments for you in this. And yeah, thanks.